Hey everybody, my name is Zach Strong, and I'm the staffing practice manager here at VerSprite. I bring a background in technical recruiting for enterprise companies local to Atlanta, as well as across the United States. And I've been working internally here for quite a few months now here at VerSprite to help not only us internally, but also clients find technical talent. And so I wanted to take some time today and give you some insight into hiring from a recruiter's perspective and how you can make yourself stand out in cybersecurity and as well as tech as a whole. And just tell you some of the things that we look for in a resume, give you some advice that I personally would give to candidates and to people that are looking for a new position, and really just how to make yourself stand out from the rest of the crowd. You may listen to this and know everything I'm about to say, or think that there's not much insight that I give, but hopefully I leave you with something useful that you didn't think of before. And so let's kind of just dive into it. So you're on the market looking for your next opportunity. You could be entry level, coming straight out of college, looking for work, or you could also be a seasoned IT professional with decades of experience. Either way, how do you make yourself stand out from other people that are applying, or your peers or your colleagues that are interested in the same position? How do you utilize your experience and your network to help you find the best fit for yourself? So there's really three areas that I wanted to focus on that really kind of set the bar high for you and kind of can make you stand out from the crowd. Those being your resume, networking, and interviewing. So fine-tuning your approach in these three areas will really help you stand out, help you get that first interview, help you get the next steps that you're looking for, and help you get a foot in the door. The rest from there is really up to you, but as long as I can help facilitate that initial conversation and get that initial call, that's hopefully where you can find some value from this conversation today. So starting with your resume, one of the key things about a resume is most of the time, a recruiter will really use this as the basis of their first and initial decision. It can oftentimes be very quick. It can be an instinctual, surface level decision. And so making sure your resume is tailored, formatted correctly, and looks and presents itself in a way to make that initial decision be a yes rather than a no is really vital to make sure that you move yourself forward in the process. No one's really been ever hired strictly because they had a good resume, but there's definitely been a lot of decisions and a lot of rejections based on a resume. So a resume may not be the deciding factor in you getting positioned, but it can definitely cause you to not be considered for a position, to get rejected. And so having a good resume that's tailored is ideal to really be that first building block of the process. And so I'll try to tailor this to both entry level, recent grads, as well as seasoned professionals, and kind of go from there. And so one of the biggest things on your resume that drive hiring managers and recruiters to make decisions is the experience that you have. As a recent graduate, you may not have as much experience, you may not have as much relevant experience. And so how do you tailor what you do have to fit the position? It can be projects that you worked on in school, classes that you took, internships. If you're in cybersecurity, CTFs or bug bounties that you've participated in, any certifications you have, and then obviously the education that you have as well. And you really want to highlight, like I kind of mentioned, and will be a common theme here, you want to tailor your resume and highlight the things that are important to the position and important to what you're looking for. And really, you want to hammer home the things that the job description and the company are looking for. As a seasoned professional, you obviously have a lot more work experience. And so that's where the bulk of your experience on your resume will be, is from the actual things that you've been doing in your career. Obviously, on top of that, it can be any certifications that you have, any presentations you've done, any speaking engagements that you have done as well. Your education is important in addition, but really kind of the bulk of your experience on the resume will be that career experience that you have. The key in setting up your experience is that you have actionable, detailed, and results-oriented bullets that kind of show what you've done from a high level. For example, If you're a back-end developer, you can say that you design microservices architecture using Java and Spring Boot, and then having a result of that saying maybe, it resulted in faster load times or things of that nature. And so you want the bullets of your experience to be actionable, detailed, and results oriented. The key, like I kind of mentioned though, is really tailoring your resume to fit the position that you're looking for. As a entry-level candidate, recent grad, if you are looking to get a job as a software developer, then having on your resume the experience that in college that you were working at a restaurant as a waiter or waitress probably isn't as important. It's definitely good to show that you were working throughout college. You've got time management skills, but it can also detract from the experience that you do have. And kind of switching the side of the coin and going more to seasoned professionals, highlighting experience on your resume. If your most recent experience was very broad, you touched a lot of different things. Having a long list of bullets with a wide variety of things that you did in your resume isn't going to necessarily be a good thing if you're looking for or trying to get a more niche and more specific, a more specialized position. And so you really want to tailor your resume to the position you're looking for, whether it's a cybersecurity analyst position or a director of engineering. Having that recent experience tailored and highlighted in a way that it's very relevant to the position is going to make that gut instinct, that gut reaction from the recruiter or the hiring manager to be, yes, we want to talk to this guy, this girl, we want to move forward. And that's really the goal of the resume, is to make that gut an initial reaction from the decision maker to be a yes, we want to move forward. So focus on what the job description is looking for. You don't have to do or redo your resume for every position, but having a tailored resume only helps your chances of getting a call back. Looking at the requirements, looking at the job responsibilities, if you can have any kind of insight, whether it be through the recruiter, through chats that you've had with other people in the company, into what would be highlighted and what is necessary for the position. If there's any kind of overlap with your actual experience, highlight that and bring it to the top. That's another point that I kind of wanted to highlight is you want to bring anything that is relevant to the top of the list of bullets. The most important things you want to be the first things that recruiter or that hiring manager sees. You may not, or you may have the exact experience that the company is looking for. You may be a great fit for the position, but if it's phrased in a way that's not clear, it's not actionable, it's not detailed, it's not result oriented, then it can get lost in the shuffle. People may not really recognize what you've done or what contributions you have and how that fits with their company. So really, you want to highlight things that are important and then bring those to the top. So it's the first thing that hiring managers and decision makers see. Along with that, you want to keep it pretty concise. You want maybe 4 to 6 bullet points per position. If your role was broader, you wore a lot more hats, and you need more than that, then feel free, go ahead. But the more concise you can keep your experience, the better it will be, because it can show that what you're doing is very much tailored to the position. It shows that your experience is a good fit for what they're looking for, but it can also create intrigue. It can create this, the recruiter or the hiring manager who's reading this to want to learn more about what you were doing, to see what you did and say, oh, this person, I want to talk to them. I want to find out exactly what they were doing. I want to see how that fits with our company, our environment, what that looks like. And so if you have 20, 30 bullets in one section of your experience, it can get easy to, some of your more relevant experience can get lost in the shuffle, but also B, the manager or the recruiter can feel like they know everything that you did. They don't really have a need to interview you unless, obviously you're a fit, but creating some sort of intrigue, creating that desire to reach out and talk further is good as well, and will help you get that initial call back. If you're, a seasoned professional with decades of experience, I know it can be very tempting to have it all listed out on your resume. I can't tell you how many times I've had resumes that have been 4, 5, 6 or more longer pages. It goes back the last 20 years of their career experience. And oftentimes I will cut out the majority. No hiring manager, no director, really is going to care what you were doing 15, 20 years ago. And so with that, having kind of your relevant experience highlighted, but then also keeping it concise from a perspective of the length of the resume is also good as well. So you don't want to go back any longer than 10 years, really. You really want to highlight your recent experience. Anything not relevant is really gonna, you just want to cut it. I see how a question comes in. Do I perform resume reviews for job seekers? I will gladly look at your resume. I will gladly have any conversations with any of you and kind of give you tips and format in a way that I think would be helpful. So I'm glad to have any kind of resume reviews, any conversations, whether you want to go through a mock interview, whether you're interested in tech and cybersecurity. Feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I will gladly do that for you guys. So definitely just hit my line, message me on LinkedIn, and we'll set up a time to chat. So that's really it. You want to highlight your relevant experience. You want to focus on what the job description is looking for, and you don't want to keep it. You don't want to have it too long. You want to keep your experience and your resume concise. Other than that, or I guess along with that, titles can be very arbitrary depending on where you're at, what company you're at, and what you're doing. And so I would say that there's really no problem in messing with your titles a little bit just to make your experience work for you. I've had examples in the past where their technical title was an IT manager, but really what they were doing was leading the DevOps team, and they were a DevOps manager essentially. They were building out the CI/CD pipelines, doing a lot of automation. And so changing that title, while the company may technically call it an IT manager, changing that to a DevOps manager title will really kind of make your experience work for you. And again, it's all about getting that gut reaction from the hiring manager, from the recruiter, to be a yes. And so changing your titles to better reflect what you were doing is ideal. So, I'm not saying go out there and lie on your resume and say you were a software architect when you were really, a junior developer. But, if you can make your experience fit a title that is maybe different somewhere else at a different company, go ahead and make that change. Because really it's all about getting that initial reaction to be a yes. So that's another tip. And then outside of that, on your resume, keep it simple. You can easily Google resume tips, resume formatting tips. There's, I'm sure, YouTube videos as well of people with all these intricate designs, these intricate formats. And really, honestly, I would stay away from those. There's not one template or design that's going to, get you a job or really make you stand out. But they can easily, if you put a heavily formatted resume into a ATS or into a portal, it can easily get corrupted. It can not come through the right way. Sometimes it's very distracting to have the text all over. You don't really know where to look first. It can be very jumbled and there's not as much order to it. And so for me, when I'm looking at resumes, when I'm editing resumes, when I'm giving resume advice, I have a few simple suggestions. 1, 10 to 12 point font. Just keep it simple. Arial or Times New Roman. Again, just a simple font. You want the things that are highlighted to be your skills and your experience. You don't want the format of your resume to detract from what you were doing. And then keep it single line spacing. And then in terms of the format and kind of how I structure resumes, typically I'll have a summary, just giving a brief outline of what you've been doing and what you're looking for. Your skills, I generally split into columns, and you really want to highlight those again towards the position you're looking for. If you're looking for a DevOps position, highlighting the different CI/CD tools that you've worked with, different automation, tools that you've worked with, different scripting languages that you have experience with. If you're a developer, obviously different languages, different infrastructures that you've worked in, whether it be on-premise, if you've worked in the cloud, highlighting all of that. And then, you really want to gear that towards, the job that you're looking for. So summary, skills, any certifications you have, this is where I kind of put them there. Again, you want to tailor those to the position that you're looking for and that you're applying for. I've had examples in the past where people have decades of experience and they have a lot of different certifications. And, when I'm going through and editing their resume, I'll honestly cut the majority of them because they're not really relevant to the position that they're looking for. And this is more from me in the past as a recruiter, but really your whole goal out of a resume, like I've been reiterating, is to have that hiring manager, that decision maker read it and their gut says, yes, I want to talk to this person. You don't want anything to detract from that. So if you cater your resume to the position, you have your relevant experience, and you can show that you add value to the company, the format of your resume doesn't really matter. So the simpler you can have it, the better, because it just goes back to your experience. That's what's going to get you the call, not the fact that you have some fancy resume formatting. It can never hurt you having a simple resume, but it can hurt you having a heavily formatted resume that's a little more distracting, I guess you could say. So let's say you tailored your resume. It looks good. You're happy with it. You think that you have relevant experience and it's highlighted. I'm getting some more questions here, so I'm going to answer these real quick. Education section. If somebody doesn't have college experience, that's no problem. A lot of positions these days, specifically within cybersecurity and tech, don't even necessarily need a college experience. And so you want to, if you have a degree, if you have certifications, you want to highlight those. But there's nothing wrong with leaving them off if you don't. So taking college, for example, if you have work experience, if you have projects that you've worked on, if you have courses that you've taken, whether it be through Udemy, online courses like that, if you have certifications, highlight those. But I would say you don't necessarily have to put anything under education. Oftentimes, if high school is kind of the extent of your education, I would kind of just leave that off as well. Highlight your certifications, your experience, and then just leave anything off, or just leave the education part blank. Don't even include it. So, if somebody doesn't have college experience, I would just highlight the things that are relevant, highlight the experience, highlight any certifications or furthering education and learning that you've done, but you don't necessarily need to have a college degree. For entry-level positions, is a portfolio of projects a good way to stand out? Yeah, for sure, especially if that's relevant to the position that you're applying for. So if you're a developer and you don't really necessarily have as much work experience explicitly, but you have a portfolio of projects that you've worked on, highlight that in your resume for sure. You want to use what you've done and your experience that you have to your advantage. And so if you don't have work experience, the only way that you can show knowledge and skills in those areas is through projects, is through certifications. And so having a portfolio of projects is a great way to stand out. My kind of suggestion for that would be to have the projects laid out almost like you would work experience. Just have a section that says projects, highlight what you did, what the project was, and then the different tools and things that you use to accomplish those tasks. And then on top of that, either on your resume or in a separate link when applying, I would just include your portfolio so that the hiring manager or the decision maker can get a little more in-depth look at what you're doing. But portfolios are a great way especially for entry-level candidates to stand out. So let's say you've got your resume in a good place, you're happy with it, you tailored your experience, you kept it simple. You really think that your resume is good. And so what's the next steps? Do you think, I've seen a lot of people, once they get their resume ready, they'll just sit there and they'll hammer away. They'll apply to hundreds of thousands of positions in a week. And then they'll sit back and they say, you know what, I did a lot. I've been applying everywhere. Let's wait and see what happens. And they barely get any calls back. How do you really get your name out there and, gain not only exposure, but access to companies and positions within companies? The answer is really networking. That is the biggest thing that I've heard, not only my colleagues and peers, but people that are older than me, who have given me advice. Networking is really the way the world works, especially within tech, within cybersecurity, within business in general. Building out a network is how you will really expand your career. And so oftentimes it's not necessarily what you know, but it's who you know. And I really, I wish that wasn't the case sometimes, but that's simply the way of the world. Obviously, breaking down barriers is kind of where we're trying to be. And I think the way the world is moving, how we're all connected a little bit more, it feels a little smaller. It's a lot easier to network with people and get your name out there. And so as a recent grad or an inexperienced candidate, how does that look? What would be my suggestions for you? I would say, connect with people on LinkedIn, whether it be at the same company who have similar positions or decision makers within the company, whether it be HR or recruiters within the company. Connect with them on LinkedIn, ask them to chat, have them conduct an informational interview with you, get their advice on how to best present yourself to the company, and then ask them who the hiring manager is, ask them who some other people within the company are that you could connect with, and then go connect with them, have the conversation there. LinkedIn is a great tool for people to network. It's really kind of vital to the recruiting process these days. I don't really know any recruiters that don't use LinkedIn. And it's where, a lot of people go to find jobs. Don't use LinkedIn just as a job board and apply, but go and connect with people, have those conversations, and that will really help you in the long run. Do I have any recommendations to avoid a stale resume for those who have been at the same company for decades? Yeah, when you've been somewhere for a very long time, I wouldn't necessarily say stale is the word that I would use, but it can be hard to show a varying experience set, if you've been there at a specific single place for a long time. And so I would say highlighting your career path throughout the company. Obviously, if you've been there for decades, I don't think that you'd be in the same position that you were when you started. So highlighting that transition, that career path for you. And then on top of that, it depends on where your interests lie, what you're looking to, get into moving forward and the position that you're looking for. And I would try to use any kind of outside, knowledge, whether it be certifications, projects, personal interests, speaking engagements. I would use those to your advantage as well, to kind of mix it in there and show some different things on your resume. So there's definitely things that you can do if you've been in a company for a very long time, to break it up so it looks like you've been progressing. You don't want to have one single company with one single title when then you've been there for 20 years and have a couple bullets and that's it. You kind of want to show that progression, that path, but then you also want to bring in some outside sources, whether it be certifications, speaking engagements, knowledge, whatever that may be, that kind of facilitates where you're looking to go. So getting back to networking as a recent grad, obviously LinkedIn, use the tools that you have available to you. On top of that, go to job fairs, attend events, whether they be virtual or in person. Virtual events have been growing rapidly since COVID, and it's a great way for you to have access to places and events that you normally wouldn't. So putting a face to the name, whether it be an in-person connection or virtually, it goes a lot farther than just simply being another resume in a pool of resumes. So I would say try to network in as many ways as possible, not just on LinkedIn, but also events, job fairs, things of that nature. On top of that, you're really going to have much more success if you start judging your job search based on the number of conversations you have rather than the number of applications you have submitted. Like I said, the world's becoming smaller and more connected, so you really want to use that to your advantage. As an experienced professional, obviously you want to use those tools. You want to, use LinkedIn to your advantage. Maybe job fairs are not really as much of something that you want to do, but in terms of in-person or things, meetups like that, attend conferences and local meetups, participate in the community that you're interested in outside of just work and interviews. Like I kind of mentioned, just get your name out there and get a face to your name and network with people who are also in the industry, in the community. On top of that, use your professional network. I mean, you've been working, you have a career, and you've undoubtedly left good impressions on people. Use that to your advantage. Your professional network is a resource for you to be able to tap into, moving forward. And so if you've worked with people, whether they be colleagues, if you've reported to somebody in the past who, you have a good relationship with, ask them to kind of tap into their network. Use your network to expand your network. And so ask them to introduce you to other professionals. Use the relationships that you've already built to grow more relationships and really kind of facilitate that job search. On top of that, once you've this goes for both entry level and experienced professionals. Once you have those conversations, once you've kind of expanded your network, what you want to do is you want to ask for what you want. You want to be very direct and clear. And the way to do that and go about getting a job is really asking for a referral. Use the network that you've grown and the conversations you've had to ask for referrals at the company that you're interested in, for the position that you're interested in. A referral from somebody within a company, especially the higher up you can go, whether it be manager, director, C-suite executive, the higher you go within a company, the more impact that referral will be. And so if you can network and work your way up and then get a referral from a director or a C-suite executive or a VP, then that's going to put you immediately at the top of the list and, really going to put a lot of backing behind your name at the company as well. Not only that, don't be afraid to ask for them, because I know we here at VERSPRITE, as well as many other companies I've been at, have a referral incentive program. And so, these people, while it may seem like they're doing you a favor, they're probably going to get some form of compensation or incentive out of it. And so there's really, if you've formed a good relationship, it's only a win-win scenario for people to refer you. So don't be afraid to ask for that referral. Outside of that, like I said, just try to network and attend conferences and local meetups. Really kind of getting some participation in the community is key in kind of networking. And so to summarize that piece on networking, just grow your network, use your network to grow your network, have conversations, ask for informational interviews, ask for advice, ask for referrals, and you really utilize that network that you've grown to the best of your abilities. So let's say you did everything right. You tailored your resume, you networked, you got that first interview. How do you leave a good impression? How do you make sure that, they want to move forward in the process with you instead of just, leaving you by the wayside? Interviewing is, while a lot of tech and a lot of cybersecurity can be very focused on your technical skills and your hard skills, interviewing is where some of your soft skills come to play. And so my suggestion would be have as many conversations in that networking part of your search as possible. Try to be comfortable in uncomfortable situations, because no doubt you will get asked a question that catches you off guard, and you're going to have to respond in a way that you may not have initially thought of. And so, you know, working in tech, like I said, it can really get focused on your technical skills, and people forget that soft skills are they play such an important role in the interview process and in making a decision. You know, you really got to work on your soft skills, and the only way you can improve is through practice. So, you know, have those conversations, ask people to ask you tough questions, you know, go through a mock interview, ask past managers or bosses for critiques and listen to them. Communication is key, especially in an industry that can focus so much on the technical requirements. Let's see, I've got another question here. Is there a proper technique for asking for a referral? Honestly, it depends on your relationship with the person and how you know, your conversations have been going. But for the most part, honestly, I would just ask for it, you know, and be direct, be straight up, you know, say, you know, if you've had a conversation, you've asked for advice, you've, you know, kind of had the initial building stage of a conversation, and you're getting towards the end of it, say, hey, listen, I've had a great conversation today. I'm really interested in an XYZ position at the company. And I would love it if I could get a referral from you for that position. You know, just kind of be direct about it, ask for what you want. And typically, you know, I found that really works. Again, if it's maybe not the best conversation, if you know, didn't really feel that comfortable doing it, then you don't necessarily have to, you know, save it for maybe another conversation you have with the company, ask for somebody else to connect with, and then have that conversation and ask for a referral. But for the most part, if you have either a good relationship with the person, if you had a good conversation with the person, I would say just ask for it. You know, be polite about it. Don't be too pushy and demand a referral, but I don't think there's anything wrong in being direct and asking straight up, will you refer me for this position? You could kind of go another direction to say, and ask just about the referral program at the company, and ask, you know, is there a referral program for the company? What does referrals look like for you guys? And then kind of work your way in that way. And then in turn, you know, still ask for a referral. So I don't think there's a single way that go about it that would be better than others, but I think just being direct and asking for what you want, there's nothing wrong with that. So I would just say, just go for it. In terms of interviewing, I know I kind of mentioned work on your soft skills, obviously having more conversations. The more conversations you have, the better. The only way you're going to get better is practice, but also, you know, at the end of the interview, ask engaging and thoughtful questions. You'd be surprised how many times I've had conducted interviews where at the end, when people don't ask questions, you kind of just leave it at that and then you're done. You know, plan out prior some questions that are thoughtful, engaging, and show that you care about the company and the position, because that really shows that you're passionate, you're interested, and you know what you want. On top of that, the Q&A part of an interview is kind of where you really get to take back some control, because throughout the entire interview process, you know, they're the ones, you know, they being the hiring manager, the recruiter, whatever that may be, they hold the power. They're asking you questions. They're trying to determine that you're a good fit. And assuming you did everything correctly up to that point, you answered all the questions correctly, you tailored your resume, you made it clear that you're a fit for the position. The Q&A part is where you can really take some control back and kind of gain some, I almost want to say power in the interview. You know, you get to ask them and kind of grill them on the company, on the culture, on, you know, the position itself. And so if you have in-depth questions that make the recruiter or the hiring manager think, and, you know, I think the best answer you could get is, honestly, I don't know the answer to that question, but I can find out and let you know. If you ask a question that they don't have an answer to, that's gonna make your stock, you know, go up as well, because it shows that A, you care what you're talking about, but it also, in their mind, they're thinking, oh wow, this guy, he was direct, or she was direct. They really knew what they were talking about, and you're coming from a place of authority almost, where you're looking for an answer that they may not have. So you can really take back some power and some decision. It almost becomes like you're the decision maker in that moment, where yeah, I know I'm a fit for this company, but I may have other interviews as well. So you can kind of establish yourself when you're asking questions, if you can make them thoughtful and engaging, and if you can stump the interviewer. And then finally, follow up. Not only with questions, but with following up. You'd be surprised how many people don't send a quick little thank you email after the interview, with the questions as well, just kind of touching back and going back a little bit.
Let me make sure you guys, okay, still hear me? Perfect. Yeah, with the questions, with the interview process at the end, reiterate, hey, I had a great time today. I think I'd be a great fit for the position. And then ask for next steps. Say, what are next steps? Or is there any way I can facilitate next steps? You want to make sure that you end your conversation on a positive note like that. And then follow up, like I kind of mentioned. Send a thank you email, reiterate that you think that you're a great fit for the position, that you enjoyed the conversation, and ask about next steps again, because then that will just help facilitate the recruiter, the hiring manager to get everything moving forward. So for interviewing, soft skills, important, very important. The only way you can get better is by practicing and talking to people. If you want to reach out to me, I will be glad to interview you. I'd be glad to have a conversation and try to connect you with other people in the industry. So, that's one resource for you right there. But not only that, reach out and ask some other people to, work on your soft skills as well. You really want to become comfortable in those uncomfortable situations. Don't forget to ask questions that are thoughtful, engaging at the end of the interview. It's very important because it gives you some power. It lets you kind of come from a place of decision making, come from a place of authority. But you also get to learn more about the company. You can really find out whatever you want, but you just have to ask the right questions. And then follow up after the interview. Send a thank you, reiterate that you're a good fit, and make sure you leave that positive note in their mind. Outside of that, one suggestion I would have would be to work with recruiters, just because it's quite literally somebody working for you to help you find a job. There's a lot of recruiting agencies out there. A lot of them aren't very good, but when you find good ones, and this can be from an entry-level standpoint, from somebody who has decades of experience, you want to stick with them and continue to work with them, because they have networks, they have people that they can reach out to, companies that they can reach out to, and they're quite literally working on your behalf. I know the more experience you get and the higher up you get, the more recruiters you're probably getting reached out to by, and it can get annoying. So that's why you really want to fine tune and find the ones that are good, that make, you have a personal relationship with, and specifically work with them. But recruiters are a great resource for you to help get your name out there and find a position. Basically, to summarize, your resume is vital to getting past the first step. No good resume has gotten anybody a position, but there's definitely been a lot of bad resumes that have rejected somebody from a position. So make sure your resume is tailored to what you are looking for. Make sure you have relevant experience, and make sure anything that isn't relevant is left off the resume. Networking is an integral part of any job search. In-person networking is ideal. So get involved with meetups, attend conferences, go to job fairs, ask for tips over coffee with current professionals at local tech companies. And if those things aren't possible, then go on LinkedIn, have conversations, whether it be via phone or Zoom, go through mock interviews or informational interviews, ask for advice, and then ask for a referral. Be direct, know what you want, and ask for it. And then finally, your interview skills, your soft skills are very important as well. Make sure you follow up, make sure you ask thoughtful questions, and really take back some of that power in the interview process. So you may have gotten something valuable out of this. You may have known everything that I said to you already, and maybe I wasted 20 minutes of your time. But for the most part, hopefully you were able to get something of value out of this. Utilizing these techniques can only help you in the long run. There's a lot of different paths to getting a job, and hopefully this will help you along your journey. There's definitely a lot of demand out there in tech and cybersecurity. So hopefully I was able to give you some insight into how to make yourself stand out as a tech professional. Finally, how do you find a good recruiting company if you've never used one before? What are recommended elements to look out for when speaking to them? So yeah, that's a great question. There's a few ways you can go about it. A is just reach out and have conversations with people in the space. Generally, if there's a good recruiter that you are connected with, then they will know other good recruiters in the industry. So if you're coming from a place where you have those connections already, then utilize those to expand. If you don't know any recruiters, I would just start reaching out to people on LinkedIn. I'm definitely here to be a resource to any of you. I'm very open to having conversations. So feel free to ping me, message me, and I'll give you some suggestions on some people that I know in my network. I'll try to do as much as I can to help you find a job and expand on your network as well. So, I definitely want to be here as a resource for you. But yeah, if you don't have anybody, you're starting from the ground up, I would say just to reach out to as many as you can. And, things to look out for, you want people that are going to be real with you. You don't want people that are just going to sugarcoat and try to sell you something. My approach when I was kind of more in my technical recruiting in the agency perspective, my whole thing was I wanted to find the best fit for you. I didn't care if that was the position that I was recruiting for or somewhere else, because there's no point in me as a recruiter putting you in a position where you're not happy, because you're just going to leave. I'm not going to get my commission. And then, I potentially maybe burned a bridge with the client, maybe burned a bridge with you because you weren't happy with the role. And so for me, it was all about forming relationships and finding the best fit for you. And so you want to find recruiters that, are real with you. Will tell you exactly what is going on? They're very transparent. They're not going to sugarcoat anything. And, with that, the better network that they have and the better access they have to jobs, typically the better they are. Obviously, some people will tell you straight up what they have on their plate. Some, will like to keep it close to their chest. So that's something that, you'll kind of fine tune as the more conversations you have. But I would say, to get started, just reach out to me. I'll definitely give you some suggestions. I'll try to reach out to my network. We definitely have access to jobs with our clients as well. So if I have any insight into positions that you would be a fit for, I would gladly facilitate that as well. So reach out to me. I'll try to help you out in any way, and hopefully that answered your question. But outside of that, I really enjoy you guys for coming for the live session today. Like I kind of mentioned again, I'm here to be a resource for you. So if you're interested in having a conversation, ping me on LinkedIn, message me, connect with me. I'm happy to connect with anyone, and who knows, I may have either a job that fits what you're looking for, or I know somebody that does. So reach out. If there's not any other questions, I hope you guys all have a good rest of your day, and hopefully you got something out of this. But have a good one. It was great speaking with you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Bye-bye.